In Ecuador, the candidates for the presidency, Luisa Gonzalez and current President Daniel Noboa, are in the final stretch of the campaign in view of the next Sunday's runoff vote. Stock markets worldwide opened sharply lower on Monday, triggered by U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs on trading partners. And the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine calls for global mobilization in rejection of Zionist genocide. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. In Ecuador, the candidates for the presidency, Luisa Gonzalez and current President Daniel Noboa, are in the final stretch of the campaign in view of next Sunday's runoff. As of this Monday until April 10th, the contenders will be concentrating on campaign events to tilt the balance of votes in their favor. Last Sunday, the candidate for Citizens Revolution, Luisa Gonzalez, led a massive mobilization with proposals focused on the development of public works, national security, and defense of citizens' rights. The candidate made healthcare and free and quality education her main pledges. Meanwhile, President Daniel Noboa reiterated his intention to reform the constitution to modernize the state. Meanwhile, in Argentina, workers at the Gaza Pediatric Hospital protest against the government this Monday in rejection of the management of President Javier Milei and the Minister of the Health Portfolio, Mario Lugones. In a statement issued by the workers of the Gaza Hospital, they indicate that organizations of scientists, independent trade unions, and the community speak out in defense of public health. They accuse the national government and the Ministry of Health of destroying the public health system by liquidating jobs and abandoning users. In the same vein, they made an urgent call to the whole community to join the fight for public, free and quality healthcare for all, because in healthcare there is no one spare. And in Brazil, thousands of supporters of former President Jair Bolsonaro took part in a rally demanding amnesty for those convicted in the attempted coup d'etat of January 8, 2023. Right-wing demonstrators gathered in one of the main avenues of Sao Paulo wearing Brazilian national team t-shirts, while some waved flags of the United States and Israel. This was the second march organized by former President Bolsonaro, who is currently charged in the federal Supreme Court for his involvement in the coup attempt against current President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva after the 2022 elections. Bolsonaro used the platforms to declare that his disqualification to run for the next elections in 2026 represents an alleged denial of democracy. And in the Dominican Republic, President Luis Abinader ordered a series of anti-immigration measures, such as increasing the number of troops on the border with Haiti and the construction of a new section of the wall between both countries. In a speech on the migratory issue, the president informed that the border surveillance will be guarded by 1,500 additional soldiers. Since his arrival to the presidency, Abinader has hardened his migratory policies towards Haiti with frequent raids and organizations and agencies not to report to a country where in 2024 more than 5,600 died as a result of violence. According to official figures, during the first quarter of 2025, 86,000 undocumented Haitians were expelled from the Dominican Republic.
That is why today I am announcing a set of 15 firm, clear measures, painful for some, but necessary to protect our country and guarantee the respect of our laws. Starting now, we will expand the supervisory capacity of the 3 current border brigades in 6 operational areas, each under the supervision of a senior officer. In addition, we will reinforce border surveillance with 1,500 additional soldiers who will join the 9,500 already deployed at the border.
Aceleraremos la construcción del muro fronterizo.
We will accelerate the construction of the border wall. The Minister of Defense has been instructed to immediately initiate the bidding process to build an additional 13 kilometers to the 54 kilometers of wall already built, thus strengthening our capacity to respond to any threat attempting to enter our country.
Meanwhile, in Mexico, more than 40,000 people attended a national boxing class led by President Claudia Sheinbaum with boxing legends Julio César Chávez and Roberto Manos de Piedra Durán. The class was held at the Zócalo in Mexico City under the slogan, "Stay away from drugs, fentanyl kills you." The president highlighted that the activity was a historic event and a symbol of the spirit that characterizes the country. The event sought to use sports to promote a healthy lifestyle at a time when the Mexican government is jointly carrying out a campaign to fight childhood obesity. And in Cuba, the president and first secretary of the Central Committee of the Cuban Communist Party, Miguel Díaz-Canel, presided Monday the meeting of Council of Ministers alongside Prime Minister Manuel Marrero Cruz. Among the main issues to tackle by the leaders were the current governmental plan to correct distortions and reboost domestic economy. In this regard, the Minister of Economy and Planning and First Deputy Minister of Economy and Planning, Mildy Granadillo, informed that the new mechanism for managing, controlling, and allocating foreign currency has been pursued since March. In addition, she noted that governmental officials and experts were assessing the risks and consequences of such mechanisms. We now have a first break coming up. We remind you that you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We're going to be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. On Monday, the Cuban government reaffirmed its commitment to the promotion of health for all people in all countries of the world. On the occasion of World Health Day, Cuba's Foreign Minister, Bruno Rodriguez, reaffirmed the will to continue providing solidarity assistance to the nations that required it. Rodriguez also pointed out that in the Caribbean, Latin America, and Africa, the Middle East, and Asia, the experience, dedication, and quality of services provided by Cuban medical brigades are highly acknowledged. The foreign minister said that solidarity and humanism are unknown values to big capital and anti-Cuban politicians of the United States, in reference to the slander campaign promoted by the U.S. And in commemoration of World Health Day, the Women's Front of the Paraguay Piajura Party, together with other union movements, demand that the government of Santiago Peña implement better conditions in public health. Public health, social, and unions mobilized in front of the Health Ministry headquarters in the capital city, Asunción, and other departments of the country to demand that the government address the crisis facing the public health sector. The same maintains a shortage of medicines, supplies, and the possibility of carrying out studies such as ultrasounds or mammograms, manifesting the increase in mortality of newborns due to the shortages in hospital and the economic crisis that plagues the country. In the United States, the New York Stock Exchange opened Monday in red numbers for the third consecutive day as President Trump stated he would not back off his trade war, reinforcing fears of a global economic downturn. Precisely, the S&P 500 share index, the broad measure of U.S. shares, was down 3.4% at the start of trading, briefly entering into bear market territory, which means more than 20% below its record high. This after more losses in Asia and Europe. In addition, the Dow Jones Industrial Average had a fall of 3.1%, while the tech-focused Nasdaq index was down 3.9%. In this scenario, analysts pointed out that Wall Street has lost around 13% of its value since the tariff unveiled on Thursday, as traders are underscoring that the trade war is increasing the risk of economic U.S. recession. And in this context, European and Asian stock markets opened sharply lower on Monday on fears of full-blown trade war and a recession triggered by U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs on trading partners. The Frankfurt Stock Exchange fell 10%, while the main indices in France, Belgium, Austria, Germany, Poland, the Netherlands, Switzerland, and Sweden fell around 6%. The main stock market indexes in Asia dropped more than 5%. Japan's Nikkei index fell 5.76%, while South Korea's Kospi fell 4.8%. In general terms, stock markets around the world have reacted with sharp falls to the trade war initiated by the Trump administration. And precisely in this context, during a press briefing, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Lin Jian condemned the unilateralism of the recent U.S. tariffs.
The U.S. is seeking hegemony in the name of reciprocity, sacrificing the legitimate interests of all countries to serve its own selfish interests, and prioritizing the U.S. over international rules. This is typical unilateralism, protectionism, and economic bullying.
And more than 50 countries seek to renegotiate tariffs with U.S. President Donald Trump. According to White House Chief Economic Advisor Kevin Hassett, the countries that have proposed initiating talks do so because they understand they will be subject to a significant portion of these tariffs.
And more than 50 countries have approached the administration about lowering their non-tariff trade barriers, lowering their tariffs, stopping currency manipulation, and they've been bad actors for a long time.
And in this regard, the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, stated on Monday that the EU has offered the United States 0 for 0 tariffs on industrial goods as the region works to avoid a trade war with the North American nation.
Nonetheless, we stand ready to negotiate with the United States. Indeed, we have offered 0 for 0 tariffs for industrial goods, as we have successfully done with many other trading partners, because Europe is always ready for a good deal, so we keep it on the table.
We now have our second and final short break coming up. Before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage, and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final break, I'll be right back. Welcome back. Israeli occupation forces started up their attacks on journalists and civilians in the Gaza Strip. Palestinian authorities reported a lately incursion into tents in Han Yunis that killed another journalist and wounded several people. The Gazan Health Ministry denounced that the Israeli forces have hit to death some 57 Palestinians and others 137 got injured during their strikes in just the latest 24 hours. International organizations highlight that Israel seeks to silence the massacres in Gaza, which poses a violation of the Rome Statute and United Nations resolutions. Meanwhile, the health entity confirmed that the death toll since October 7, 2023 had exceeded 50,000 people, and the number of injured have risen to over 115,000. Palestinians in the occupied West Bank are holding a general strike on Monday to protest the ongoing Israeli genocide in Gaza. For the action, public institutions, private sector businesses, transportation services, schools, and banks closed their doors in solidarity with Gazans and to demand an end to the aggression that has killed over 50,000 Palestinians since October 2023. In addition, the offensive has sparked a surge of violence in the occupied West Bank, with the Israeli military carrying out widespread operations that have killed hundreds of Palestinians and displaced tens of thousands, while there has also been a rise in settler violence. The head of the Palestinian Red Crescent Society, Yunus al-Khatib, called on Monday for an independent investigation into Israel's killings of 15 Gaza paramedics last month, urging no one should be above the law.
When we join the call for an independent and thorough investigation of this atrocious crime and hold those responsible to account. No impunity to anyone. No one should be above the law. 2, we call on the council members individually and collectively to take action to ensure respect for international humanitarian law.
And in Indonesia, health workers mobilized in Jakarta against the Israeli genocide in Gaza, condemning the murder of paramedics and fellow health professionals. Waving Indonesian and Palestinian flags and signs that read "Stop Genocide," hundreds of Indonesian workers from several medical associations participated in the solidarity demonstration organized by the Indonesian People's Alliance for Palestine Defenders. In addition, Indonesians demanded the World Health Organization protect international health workers attending to civilians wounded in the Gaza Strip. The protest came after 8 Red Crescent personnel, 6 civil defense workers, and a UN staffer were killed in an Israeli shooting in Rafah, southern Gaza on March 23rd, an action which has sparked international outrage as organizations worldwide demand accountability for the crime.
We all know about the latest news saying our medical brothers there in Gaza, who were helping people with an ambulance, have become victims of the Israeli army. We are very concerned and strongly condemn this action.
The cruelty that is happening now is beyond the limits of humanity. The situation in Gaza demands that we just have to be human enough to care about the conditions that are happening in Gaza. We don't need to be Muslims, we just need to be human beings who have a conscience.
In Yemen, U.S. strikes in northeast Sana'a left at least 4 people dead and 16 others wounded. The health ministry spokesman denounced the blatant aggression and bombing of civilian facilities and personnel as a war crime and a violation of international laws. According to Yemeni authorities, Washington's aggression included 2 airstrikes in the Shab al-Hafa area. In response, the country's armed forces targeted several U.S. warships in the northern Red Sea, including the USS Truman aircraft carrier, using cruise missiles and drones. In Ecuador, 1 person died after being struck by lightning on Sunday. So far this year, there have been 34 fatalities as a result of heavy rains and storms that hit the country. The last death was recorded in the municipality of Guamote in the center of the country, where there was rain, strong winds, and lightning storms. The Ecuadorian province that has been most affected so far is Manabí, with more than 82,000 people affected and 7 deaths, followed by Guayas, with more than 27,000 affected and 3 deaths. In the last weeks, the storm has caused floods and landslides in several parts of the country, with close to 42,000 houses affected and 252 totally destroyed. And in Bolivia, rains caused 55 deaths and affect 590,000 families. According to the Vice Minister of Civil Defense, Juan Carlos Calvimontes, there are 6,174 communities affected, and in total there are already 590,529 families affected. He said that the damages reached the 9 departments of the country, and to date, 2 of them have been declared in departmental emergency, La Paz and Santa Cruz. Referring to homes, Calvimontes estimated that 1,204 homes were completely destroyed. La Paz is the most affected department not only in terms of homes, but also in terms of roads, which prevents the municipalities from being connected. Like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. So join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thanks for watching.